So back in the day when we were training this big IT company, one of the Americans came over. He says he came to observe us and to have a look at what we were doing. And he gave us feedback afterwards. I was working with a guy called Tom. We were both very young at the time, 26 and 27. We're training all of these really old people. And he says, boys, you know, he was old. Boys, you're doing a great job. Yeah, you've got the passion, you know the models. Yeah, you're using the tools really well. You're handling the group work activities. You're moving from one topic to the other. You've got the agenda down pat, very fast moving, very, interesting. I learned something from the way that you described the models too, but you're going to have a big problem with credibility. And he says, the fact is that you're not going to become credible in this world for another 10 years, probably, maybe 5, but credibility is going to take a while.
Is that because of the age, right?
Yeah, simply because
a lot when I was a young trainer, yeah.
Yeah. And, I was fighting the credibility problem for, for 15 years, even beyond. I was 35 and still it didn't really go away until I was 42. The answer to life, the universe, and everything. It took a long time to go away. And he said, look, you need stories. You have to start using storytelling techniques because that is a method of creating credibility. And so this is what you do. You listen really well. Participants will come up in the group work exercises when you ask people to report back. Somebody will tell you about a case that they were working on. You remember that. You choose the good ones. And then the next workshop you do, you repeat that and you say, so on the last workshop, we were working with a guy and he was in this situation. Yeah. And then you repeat that a couple of times and you refine it. Yeah, you make the story, you think about the dramatology of the story, where it begins, where it ends, etc. You exaggerate a little bit if you want to. Yeah. And then after 5 or 6 times, yeah, when you see that the audience, it's resonating well with them, they're nodding their heads, yeah, then at some stage you can change it. Yeah, you have to be careful a bit about this, but you can change it from the third person to the first person, which means it didn't happen to them, it happened to me. Yeah, and that's kind of an interesting, level. So you've got the story, you know it, and then you just change it into your own words and say that it happened to me. And so this was a piece of advice that I've been using for all of my professional career. So you might be asking the question, have you been lying for 40 years? And the answer would quite simply and unequivocally be yes. Yes, yes, I have. Yeah.
So what do you do when you cannot think of a story?
Ask the participants for a story. And that's a brilliant tech training. Yeah. Who has an experience with this piece of technology? Did anybody try this where it didn't work? Did anybody have an unsatisfied customer? Tell us about it. Tell us the story. Yeah. A group of 10 people, 12 people, 16 people, there's always somebody who wants to say something. There's always somebody who's got a story. So ask them.
But you usually do funny stories. So yeah. What if you're not funny? You are funny, but I'm
going to turn my camera off for a second. Go home. No, there is, the best stories are not funny. Yeah, the best stories are they're serious, they're there to make a point, and they're based on your real life experience. And one of the key ingredients to the way that adults learn is that they learn by other people's experience and relating that to their own experience. This is one of the big differences between kids and adults. Kids don't have experience. So if you tell them a story and try and get them to make that mental leap, it won't happen. But adults actually learn a lot better from somebody telling them a story, an anecdote, an example about something than they do from just listening to the slides and the description.
So let's say you do a lot of stories. Can you do too many stories? I mean, can you overkill it with stories?
Yes, you can. And I mean, there are some types of people who just love storytelling. Yeah, I mean, you know, and I would say that from a group of 10 people, 8 of them, 7 of them are really never going to get bored with the stories, as long as they have a point. Yeah, as long as there is a decent link. And as long as they're also mixed with a variety of other things that are there to do. So the balance is really important. But there will be 2 people who just, you know, they're kind of looking at you and already, you know, disapproving of your flippant storytelling style right from the, you've just opened. Some people don't like storytelling, but they are in the minority. And, you know, but that's the thing about learning styles. You know, you can't, there is no one particular way of training a particular person, because everybody learns in a different way. Some people learn by listening. Some people learn by listening to other people's experiences. Some people only learn by failing. They have to fail with something before they learn. Some people learn with pictures, etc., etc. Everybody's different. So the fact that 1 or 2 people are not going to pick up on the storytelling and the stories that you tell, what can you do?
But you noticed that in expectation of a story, when you say, I'm going to tell you a story now, everyone's face is lightening up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know any real reason why, apart from, you know, it lights up that brain from when you were 4 years old and, you know, going to tell you a story. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Tell me the one about the duck. No, new story. No, I want the old duck. Ducks are good. Yeah. Great.
Okay. So how does this fit into the technical training environment?
Well, one company I work with has so many things that can go wrong with their product. So if you install this product in the wrong way, houses burn down, economies collapse, people die, get electrocuted, get squashed, you know. So health and safety training, you know, heavy industry, literally heavy product training, products where there is any kind of danger, there are usually stories and pictures, especially visualized pictures of disaster scenarios that you don't want to be in. They're great sources of stories, and technical participants respond very well to them. And so I would say that, you know, storytelling simply fits with any situation of making things more interesting. So maybe for the technical training environment in a webinar environment, you know, maybe it really becomes important in a big webinar environment to have a couple of decent stories there to wake up that other way of listening to a message, which is not simply based on the strict data behind the slides itself.